You think you know Clash Royale's lore, but the common cards? They're hiding the craziest lore of all, from jokes buried in Clash-orama to secrets from the Clash of Clans universe. Today we're revealing the hidden lore behind every single common card. And trust me, some of these will completely change how you see the game.
I'm gay.
The design of minions seems to take clear inspiration from gargoyles, those eerie stone creatures perched on top of cathedrals and castles. In mythology, gargoyles were believed to ward off evil spirits, but the concept of them coming to life is actually a more modern twist. Traditionally, they're depicted as magically animated or transformed stone beings, often mixing animal and chimera traits, serving as fierce protectors of sacred places. In darker interpretations, they can even act as vessels for demonic possession or exist as a living species that just happens to resemble statues. Fittingly, in the French and Japanese version of the game, the minions are literally called gargoyles. Their description also changes depending on the language setting. In the Spanish, Japanese, Portuguese language setting of the game, the minions card description says, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a super minion, which is obviously a reference to Superman. And in the Korean language setting of the game, the minions card description says, fly like butterflies, sting like bees, which is a reference to a quote mentioned by Muhammad Ali. Oh, also, according to a Clash-orama comic strip, a minion is the child of the Mega Minion. While on the topic of minions, in Clash of Clans, the minions' projectile comes from their mouths, however in Clash Royale, it comes from their fists instead. This is confirmed by the Clash Royale trailer, trophies, and landscaper, where the minions seem to build up dark elixir in their hands and throw it at their enemies once the ball is big enough. They're also believed to be born from dark elixir. Mega Minion was also teased by Minion Horde's description. It says that the regular minions are unarmored, which hinted at the addition of the armored minion, which ended up being the Mega Minion, who was later added to the game. Despite wearing a quiver filled with arrows, the archer doesn't take arrows out of her quiver when performing an attack, and the bow that archers use in battle is a recurve bow. They are dedicated to perfecting their aim, dreaming of one day matching the legendary skill of the Archer Queen. Some, however, take a different path, like the rebellious firecracker who abandoned training to join the outlaw forest gang. And speaking of the firecracker, she is a former archer who grew bored of training and chose a more thrilling life with the mischievous forest gang. Now she unleashes chaos from afar with her explosive fireworks. Supercell initially had a different version of her called Rocketeer, who was more militaristic and musketeer-like, and her rockets would shoot in random directions. While the concept was promising, after several days of testing, it became evident that a change in her mechanics was necessary due to a significant issue with unpredictability of the rockets. Putting Rocketeer in the arena sometimes felt like rolling the dice, crossing your fingers it hit the right targets, and that randomness took away from the skill needed to use the card. So then she was changed to, well, how she is now because of the inspiration from Penny from Brawl Stars, another Supercell game. This was stated in Firecracker's intro video. The knight's description says that he and the barbarians could be distant cousins, sharing the same blonde hair and bold mustaches. Interestingly, both are voiced by John Mondelli, which only adds to the family vibe. In the Dutch version of the game, however, the knight is actually described as the barbarian's nephew, giving their relationship a bit of a twist. And according to John Mondelli himself, the knight even rocks a French accent. No, that doesn't mean he's French. I'm not gonna get into the history, but yeah, just know that it makes sense. Goblins are similar to spear goblins, however, take note, of course, that they're not ranged and have to run up to a target to, get that stabbing in. Goblins also have significantly more health and damage than spear goblins despite not looking muscular, like the spear goblins do. Also, in spear goblins' description, the word unarmored may be hinting at a new card. It's also a reference to the minions and how it has the same sentence and the Mega Minion was eventually released, but the new armored goblin card hasn't made it into the game. It's almost been a decade. Interestingly, 1 human year equals 60 in goblin years, according to the old Goblin in Clash Royale's Back in My Day commercial.
We've only been fighting in the arena for a year.
That's like 60 in goblin years!
But for the record, old goblins are actually dumb, because according to Clash lore, they get dumber as they age. A loading screen hint for the bomber reads, quote, "One day, wall breakers realized they could do a lot more damage if they threw the bomb, rather than sat beside it. Imagine that." This is likely a nod to the bomber's origin as a ranged counterpart to the wall breaker from Clash of Clans. Ironically, the wall breakers themselves were later added to Clash Royale in a future update. And lastly, bombers get promoted to balloon pilots. Skeletons are said to be the mischievous children of the witch and the giant skeleton. They're goofy, unpredictable, and always up to trouble, especially everyone's favorite, Larry. The barbarians strikingly resemble both Hulk Hogan and Abraham Ford from the Walking Dead TV series. They're also cousins of the Knight, as we previously said. Also, fun fact, a loading screen hint jokes, "Don't feed barbarian after midnight," cleverly referencing the movie Gremlins. According to a Clash-orama comic strip, barbarians follow a career ladder. Barbarian Barrel is the lowest rank, Battle Ram comes next, barbarians hold the 3rd level, and elite barbarians are right at the top. But recently, Supercell changed their mind, and now the greatest honor isn't being an elite barbarian, it is carrying the battle ram. This leads us into elite barbarians. The helmets worn by the elite barbarians might be a nod to the iconic iron helmet from The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, famously worn by the Dragonborn. Fun fact about me, I have the entire intro to The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim memorized, and it haunts me every day. Their card description features the line "harder, better, faster, stronger," referencing the Daft Punk hit song of the same name. And in touchdown mode, elite barbarians swap their usual helmets for American football helmets, fitting the sporty theme. The Electro Spirit is currently the only permanent card in the game that hasn't yet received any balance changes, and it has an eternal mustache rivalry with the Knight. The skeleton dragons were inspired by a scrapped idea of a single skeleton dragon that attacked using a bomb, as well as the beta minions from Clash of Clans. Their card description line, "They also play a mean ribcage xylophone duet," is likely a clever nod to Fossils from Carnival of the Animals by Camille Saint-Saëns, a musical piece that uses quirky xylophone-like sounds to mimic rattling bones. Fire spirits are literally chunks of living coal, bouncing around with excitement until they explode. Their only goal in life is to burn things, and they are really good at it. It was the only spirit card to have a spawner building version, the Furnace, until August 4th, 2025, when the Furnace was reworked into a troop. It's also the only card in English to have its name changed, following its count reduction from 3 to 1 in the summer 2021 update. And interestingly, unlike other spirit cards, the Fire Spirit doesn't have a mouth. However, in Furnace's evolution video, it is seen with a mouth, and apparently it can sing as well. The bats in Clash Royale resemble the real-life vampire bat species Desmodus rotundus, or just known as common vampire bats. These bats feed on the blood of sleeping livestock by biting them, just like how bats in the game attack enemy troops by swooping in and biting. Royal recruits are loyal soldiers serving the king. Trained by the Dark Prince, they all dream of one day becoming a Dark Prince themselves, as hinted by their description, quote, "They dream of ponies and one day wearing metal buckets." In different language settings of the game, royal recruits are referred to as the King's Guards, which is true. They serve and guard the king along with skeleton guards. Despite wearing armor, the royal giant has fewer hit points than a giant of the same level. Likely a balanced decision. And making a raggedy blonde beard look good is his passion. He is obsessed with grooming his beard and uses elixir-infused wax to keep it shiny. He insists the cannon is secondary. His beard is what wins battles. He was once infamous for being overpowered thanks to his long range and high health, making him tough to defeat before landing a big hit. The game even nods to this with a loading screen hint saying all cards are created equally, even Royal Giant, and a post-battle 2v2 message that reads, "Nerf the Royal Giant." The Ice Spirit's gender is confirmed to be male. This was clarified in the April 2022 balance update, which stated, "We want to provide more distinct use for the Ice Spirit compared to his counterparts, the Electro Spirit." In the Spanish version of the game, the Ice Spirit's description reads, "Winter is coming," a clear reference to Game of Thrones, specifically the show's very first episode, and also the multitude of times that they say it throughout the show. The Berserker was thought to be the daughter of the Rune Giant due to their similar looks. However, it was soon confirmed by Supercell that despite them looking very similar, they're not actually related to each other. And in the Turkish language settings of the game, the Berserker's name translates to naughty. Pretty accurate. The Skeleton Barrel may be inspired by Clash of Clans builder-based troop, the Dropship, which also deals damage and spawns skeletons when destroyed. In Clash of Clans, the Skeleton Barrel looks almost identical to the enemy Skeleton Barrel from Clash Royale. However, unlike the Clash of Clans version, the Skeleton Barrel in Clash Royale only targets buildings. Its design is visually similar to Clash of Clans air bombs and their projectiles. The barrel itself is styled much like level 6 and 7 balloons from Clash of Clans. Rascals are street-smart troublemakers from the Clashwood Forest, often found hanging out in their gang's hideout. Their name translates to things like bullies, vagrants, outlaws, bad boys, rogues, Greenwood Gang, troublemakers, the naughty ones, fiends, and dodgy group in different versions of the game. Also in the Flood trailer, it's revealed that the Rascal boy is actually bald and wears a wig. Arrows are made by attaching a sharpened tip, usually metal or stone, to a straight wooden or carbon shaft. Feathers or plastic fletching are added to the back to stabilize flight, and a notch is cut at the end to fit the bowstring. That's all the lore there is to an arrow. They really aren't any different in Clash Royale. Hope you enjoyed my episode of How It's Made. The Vial of Zap was created by the Electro Wizard who specializes in static electricity. Evolved Zap is also his doing, he just doesn't really know how it works. The card's name varies across different languages, often translating to terms like discharge, electric shock, electrocution, bang, jolt, detonator, shock spell, thunder, stun, or lightning shock. Giant Snowball is the only card with giant in its name that isn't a troop. The Royal Delivery was designed after a concept which involved a bomb. It was also originally called Bone Bomb, and it would involve a bomb that would explode after a short time. After the bomb exploded, 2 guards would spawn from where the bomb exploded. Also in the card's description, the quote, "The empty box is also handy for espionage" line is a reference to Metal Gear Solid. Colonel, I found my way into Clash Royale. What do I do? The Border is the first building to receive a card evolution. Tesla's name is a reference to Nikola Tesla, the famous scientist known for working with electricity. It's based on one of his inventions, the Tesla coil, which wirelessly transmits electricity to the destination. The way a Tesla coil transmits electricity appears similar to how the Tesla attacks. Also in Clash Universe, Electro Wizard is the one who made the Tesla. And finally, cannon is a cannon. Simple as that. Many believe it was built by the Master Builder from Clash of Clans, but behind that simplicity is one of the wildest histories in Clash Royale. Once a 6 elixir building, nerfed down to 3, then exploding back into the meta with its evolution, it is the craziest story of any card in the game, and you gotta see it. Click here, and I'll see you there.